Da 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 da! Your ads are live, and now you're ready to start measuring the fruits of your labor. But there's so many terms being thrown around like CPCs, CPMs, CPAs. What is a new advertiser to do? Rest assured, the specific metrics that you need to know to measure your Facebook ad results are easier than you think. So it absolutely pains me when I see new advertisers who start running their Facebook ads and then ask, well, now what? They start Googling how to track their results only to find out things that don't really matter, or they get so overwhelmed with the thought of #math that they close their eyes and don't even track their results at all, which is a recipe for disaster when all of a sudden the ads that you think are working might not be. In this video, I'll walk you through what the most important metrics that you need to know are. You'll learn what those metrics are, where to find them inside of Ads Manager, and what to do when those metrics ain't so hot. Let's kick it off with the holy grail of metrics, ROAS, otherwise known as return on ad spend. Think of ROAS like your Facebook ATM. You want to make sure that every dollar you put in, you're getting at least $1 back. Return on ad spend is the total revenue generated from your ads divided by the total ad spend. So calculating it is simple. Let's say you made 10 sales of a $27 product from your ads. That's $270. And you spent $27 on ads to generate those sales. That would be $270 made divided by $27 equals 10x. In this case, the X is a multiple of your ROAS. So what that means is every single time you gave the Facebook ATM $1, it spit back out $10 in your pocket. Now, I would love to have an ATM that every single time I gave them $1, they spit me back out $10, but that's not always the case in our Facebook advertising world. So what we want to pay attention to when it comes to return on ad spend is making sure that our ads are profitable. So it's really important to focus on having a ROAS above 1. Now, there's a lot of other costs of doing business other than advertising, like our team, like our tools, like our storefront, whether that be physical or digital. And so if we're spending $1 on Facebook ads to make $1 back, at the end of the day, we're not going to be profitable overall. So I would recommend that you factor in the rest of your variable expenses when it comes to calculating your ROAS. To do that, you would take the total amount of ad spend and the rest of your monthly expenses and divide that into your total revenue. So using our $270 example, it took us $27 in ad spend, but maybe it also incurred $73 of other variable costs. In this case, it would be $270 in revenue divided by $100 in expenses, and our ROAS would be 2.7x. Meaning for every dollar we gave Facebook, in this case, we earned $2.70 back. Our second metric is purchase conversion value. Now, if you are not a Facebook advertiser, you might not have heard this before, but it's simply the total revenue generated from your Facebook ads. The simplest way to calculate that is having your Facebook pixel installed. And don't worry, if you don't have your Facebook pixel installed, we got you. Check out the video in the description below on how to install your Facebook pixel. Now, there are more manual ways to calculate this where you're going into your PayPal or even your cash register and manually understanding that this revenue came from this ad, but I highly recommend using the Facebook pixel where you'll install a small little snippet of code that lets Facebook know that this ad resulted in that revenue. To calculate your purchase conversion value, you would take the number of items sold and multiply it by the cost of those items. In our previous example, there was 10 items sold that cost $27 a piece, resulting in a purchase conversion value of $270. The purchase conversion value is then used to calculate the ROAS along with your ad spend. Now, everything might be fine and dandy when your purchase conversion value is showing positively, but if you're looking at your purchase conversion value and it's a big fat 0, that means your Facebook ads aren't working. If your Facebook ads are working and you are making sales, the purchase conversion value is going to be a positive number. But if you ever see that big fat zero, that typically means that there's something wrong with your Facebook ads or in the sales process, which the next metrics we'll cover will help you identify where the bottleneck is. To take the temperature of how profitable you are on a specific item, I love looking at metric number 3, which is all about the cost per purchase. Now, if you have that Facebook pixel installed, Facebook is going to automatically calculate this for us. The cost per purchase is a really quick way to gauge if your advertising is selling products at a profit or at a loss. Let's say you spent $130 on advertising and you sold 10 widgets for $27 a piece. In this case, you would take the $130 that you spent on advertising and divide it by the number of units sold. So 130 divided by 10 is $13 per unit. So if your product is $27 and it costs you $13 in advertising, that means you have a profit margin of $14. Now remember to take into account all those variable expenses so that you can understand at a glance if your cost per purchase, what you're spending to acquire a new customer, is relevant for your business. These next two metrics, now there's two different ways to calculate them. So if your business generates leads or subscribers or opt-ins of some sort, where your sales process naturally happens in email, then you would calculate your earnings per lead. And every single new email subscriber would be a lead for your business. But on the flip side, if you're an e-commerce company where you're sending people directly to your sales page or your store, you might not have email subscribers. So you would calculate your earnings per click. A click being every single time somebody visits your store to potentially check out. So whatever side of the equation you fall on, you want to calculate your earnings per lead or your earnings per click. So to do that, we need to figure out two things. We need to figure out our purchase conversion value, which is super simple because we just did that. And then we need to understand the number of leads that our Facebook ads have resulted in, so the number of new subscribers, or the number of clicks that they have resulted in. And you'll take that purchase conversion value, divide it by the total number of leads to get a dollar amount, and that is your earnings per lead. That means every single time a new subscriber signs up for your email list or enters into your sales process, that's what those people are worth to your business overall. Next up is the cost per lead. The cost per lead is the amount that you spend to acquire a new lead for your business. To calculate it, you take the total amount of ad spend and you would divide it by the number of leads that ad spend generated. In our example, if we spent $130 to generate 100 leads, that would be 130 divided by 100 equals $1.30 a piece. Now, when your earnings per lead are $2.70 and your cost per lead is $1.30, that gives you buffer room for the rest of your variable expenses as a business. Now, the metrics that we've talked about to this point were based on the overall results of our advertising, our CTR. Our click-through rate is an indicator of how engaging your ad copy and creative is to the audience that you're putting it in front of. Now, Facebook's gonna throw a fastball at you because there are two different click-through rates. They have a link click-through rate and they have a click-through rate all. The difference is that the link click-through rate calculates the number of link clicks taken by people who have viewed your ad, and the click-through rate all is anyone who interacted with your ad in general. That could be liking it, commenting on it, sharing it, swiping the carousel, or clicking the link. So it's an amalgamation of all of the engagements on that ad in total. The reason why both of these metrics are important is because it tells you how persuasive your ad is to your ideal audience. Now, I typically like to aim for a click-through rate when running feed ads of anywhere over 1.5. If your link click-through rate is less than 1.5, I would typically go back and edit that ad copy and creative. Now I said feed ads because right-hand column ads typically get clicked way less. So as long as your right-hand column ad is getting a click-through rate for your links of 0.5%, you're A-okay. If not, feel free to edit those ads as well. You might have heard engagement rate thrown around as an important metric to track. In Facebook speak, your engagement rate is your CTR all. That is the total engagements that your ad post receives divided by the total number of impressions. Similar to your link click-through rate, you want people to be interacting with your ads because if not, you're just gonna hear crickets. Now let's dive into Ads Manager and I'll show you where to find all of these numbers. The first thing that you'll see when you get to Ads Manager is this general dashboard here. Now, as you read across the top, you're gonna say, hey Bond, none of those metrics are any of the metrics that we just talked about. So where the heck do I even find this information about the ads that are live? Let me tell you. See this button here that says columns performance? Let's give that a click. There's 13 different reporting views that you can see inside of Ads Manager. Take some time and get familiarized with each one, from delivery to video engagement, all the way down to targeting and creative. However, we're not gonna use any of these customized ones because the metrics are all over the place. We're gonna make this as simple as possible by clicking Customize Columns. You can see each and every single metric that Facebook allows you to track from any one of your ads. You can scroll all the way through them if you like, but since we know the exact metrics that we're looking for, let's just use the search functionality. In the search button, we start by typing in the word ROAS, return on ad spend. And as you can see, purchase ROAS comes up. I encourage you to click total. Once you click total, you'll see it here on the right-hand column at the bottom. Now, this is a new thing with Facebook where they give you the option to show your website purchase ROAS or your mobile app purchase ROAS. In this case, I would unclick both of them unless you're a business that has a website and an app where you're trying to track both metrics separately. But most businesses can go and unclick them here. When you click this checkbox, it's automatically going to add it to the right-hand column. Now, if you would like to see these metrics presented on your ads dashboard, at the end, you can click Save as Preset and just type a name in here. However, let me save you some time where you can check out the 3 reports that I recommend to measure all of your Facebook ad results, and you can find that video linked in the description below. Once you're done with ROAS, continue on to purchase. Type that in the search bar, and the new options will appear. This time, you're gonna choose purchase conversion value as the checkbox, as well as our cost per purchase. That was metric number 2 and number 3. As you'll see, those will show up on the right-hand side. And again, you'll deselect the checkboxes under purchase conversion value. Next up is our earnings per lead. This one is a little bit of a doozy because it's a manual calculation. Unfortunately, you're not gonna find your earnings per lead inside of Ads Manager. So this is something that I would just typically grab my notebook and write down. You would take your total revenue and divide it by the number of leads that you've generated from your Facebook ads. But you might be thinking, how do I find the number of leads generated? Well, that's simple. We can go back to this pop-up and add that to our column. To do that, we would type leads in the search bar, and from there, click total leads. The beauty of this search function is that cost per lead is simply right beside it. You'll get that by clicking the cost checkbox here. Then the last thing that we need to do is type in click-through rate, or CTR. You'll check off the CTR for the link click-through rate, as well as the CTR all, which is referring to our engagement rate. The last thing that I want to do on this pop-up is just confirm that there is no checked boxes on the right-hand column before I go to the bottom, save it as a preset. So we might call this most important metrics, and click apply to save it. Now you'll see on the screen all of the metrics that we covered in today's video. Our return on ad spend, our purchase conversion value, the cost per purchase. We've used our total number of leads to determine our earnings per lead, our cost per click, and then our CTRs, our click-through rate for both the links and all of the engagements of our posts. The biggest mistake that I constantly see marketers making when it comes to measuring their Facebook advertising results is thinking that they have to track it all. They think they need to know every single metric under the sun. And yeah, we started with 7 today, and that can feel like a lot. So what I want to assure you is that it doesn't have to feel so complicated. Give yourself permission to go into Ads Manager and experiment today, even if it doesn't feel like it's making too much sense to you. Down the line, once you get so much experience in Ads Manager, you'll slowly start to wrap your head around the metrics that matter and how to use them in measuring your results. So just be patient with yourself because it takes time. If you're at the beginning of your Facebook ads journey, be sure to check out this video from my friend Rick Mulready, who walks you through the Ads Manager so you can begin to familiarize yourself with it. Or if you're more advanced, head on over to my video about the 3 reports that you need to create inside of Ads Manager to measure your Facebook ads results.